welcome again to the new faces. After the presentation of Anna Karina, we are gonna move to France specifically. So let me introduce Gaétan Piegay. He's coordinator of the Cyclo-Logistic Federation in France and is also the project leader of studies at Le Vélo. He is here to show us all the insights of an extensive study that took 1 year to conduct and was funded by the Energy Transition Agency of France. So, this 240 pages report in 20 minutes for all of us in English. So, a big applause and welcome.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, everyone. I have quite a lot of slides, so maybe it will be quite synthesized, but we will keep some times afterward to get your questions. So let's begin. First, the definition. We have quite a different definition of cycle logistics in France. So we took the definition of logistics, which includes all flow management operations, both physical and operational, and their optimization. So it's often summarized as the freight transport. And then we have the owned accounts. So it's the company that is doing their own logistics operations. And there is the third-party logistics, so companies that are providing services of transport. So we took these specific categories to do our own definition of cycle logistics, which is the organization and execution of the transports of goods or merchandise on behalf of others, carried out by cycle or cargo bikes. And then we have three subcategories, which is the distributions of courrier by La Poste in France. We have all the gig economy, which is the food delivery, meal delivery. And then we have these third categories, which has all the rest of cycle logistics. And this is what we have been working on, okay? These third categories, and I will enter in details in these third categories. So this is the ecosystem of cycle logistics by our French definition in France. So we have 200 companies that are operating in 74 cities. So this is an estimation in May 2023. And we divided those kind of companies in two kinds, okay? We have the specialized one, which are operating cargo bikes only, and the mixed one that has traditional fleets of logistics, like LCV or scooters, things like this. And they're starting to have cargo bikes inside their companies. So this is the mixed one. Some numbers, 68% are specialized companies operating exclusively cargo bikes. 67% are very small businesses, very small companies, and 30% SMEs. 9% are present in several cities, implemented in various cities. 12% are organized as franchise, so have other companies in other cities. And 29% belong to the social and solidarity economy sector, so inclusion companies, non-profit organizations, like think like this, cooperatives also, think like this. Maybe a little quiz. So you don't have the color cards, but maybe you can just raise your hand, right? So what is the estimate of the courier delivery fleet in France in time of full-time employee people, right? Okay. So 1,200. Yeah, just one. 1,700. Okay, two. And the last one, 200. Yeah, it was the good one. Okay, we have in the cycle logistics operators, they employ between 2,200 and 2,400 full-time employees in France, including the support functions, right? They're not riders, they're operating staff, administrative staff, organizing shift, things like this. And this corresponds to an average employment intensity of 28 full-time employee per million euros, which is twice superior as the average company in France. So it means that this sector, psychologistic sector, is employing 2 times more people in means of the gross sales, right? Is it understandable? Understandable? Yeah? Okay. This is the gross sales, 85 million euros generated in France per year. We have these numbers relative to its gross sales. Psychologistics sector contributes 1.4 times more than French GDP than the average French company. So it has very local impact on the French economy. And the added value generated by psychologistic company goes back into the remuneration of its workers. Okay, all of these factors is due first because it's a very young sectors, and then because what companies is selling is time. You know, it's time of the people that are spending of their bike. So it's kind of normal to have this kind of characteristics. We did a little environmental impacts study, which is kind of we have hypotheses that are very conservative, I would say. So as you can see, in terms of CO2 emissions per kilometers, we have 62, 68 CO2 per kilometers generated by cargo bikes, and the LCV electrical one, it's at least twice more emitting pollutants than the cargo bikes. And what is very important here is to see that the manufacturing of cargo bikes, what makes the how do you say, the life cycle analysis meaningful, because of the batteries, especially lithium batteries. And what we can say about this is what is important in this calculation is the lifespan of cargo bikes, right? We had in this study, it was like 4,000 kilometers. It was the lifespan of a cargo bike, which is 3 years of operating. And for LCV, it's more like 200 kilometers, right? So there is a huge gap. And the good news is, as we are going to improve cargo bikes more and more, the lifespan will also improve, and the environmental impact will also be better and better compared to LCV electrical and LCV diesel. All right? This is an illustration of all the subsectors we have in the French psychologistics activities. So in yellow, we have the group age organizations. It means that you have goods or merchandise that are coming from outside the city, going in psychologistics hubs. It is organized, and then it's spread in the psychologistics companies, right, with cargo bikes. So the first one is parcel delivery to individuals, B2C, right? It's like e-commerce, right? Parcels being delivered, coming from Amazon, other companies, etc., etc. We have parcel delivery to professionals, which are going to be bigger parcels coming from also bigger companies like Geodis, DB Schenker, Epner, things like this. We have waste collection, 8%, which is the first kilometers, gathering the waste and then putting it out of the city. And a special categories, which could be in the parcel delivery to professional or individual, is the delivery of fresh or cold goods. The particularity is that you have to get a cold room, right, to operate, and specialized cargo bike to keep the cold chain, I would say, yeah. Then we have the race logistics. So this is all the activities that are operated within the city. So point to point would be very varied race. It can be a USB key. It can be a very big parcel. It can be for individuals, it can be for professionals, so it can be very diversified, and oftentimes it's related to urgent delivery. It has to be fast, right? We have ship from store and off-the-shelf delivery, so the merchandise is coming directly from the company and is delivered directly in the city by the riders. We have the meal delivery, which is traditionally operated by the intermediation platforms, but we also have in France companies that are doing these kinds of deliveries, which are not intermediation platforms. And then in small parts, we have moving, which it's with small apartments, small distances, and few trips to do the moving. And then the postal mail with the post. The historical activity of La Poste. Some obvious things about cycle logistics, right? Field of relevance. Cargo bikes has no traffic constraints, no stop constraints. So it's very fast, very agile in the city. But it has a reduced carrying capacity, speed, and limited autonomy. So it is purposed to fine grain distribution in the dense city centers. Okay. If you want to adapt your traditional logistic organization, you have to have some few adaptation. First is you have to get urban logistics platforms. I will talk about it just later. You have to change the containerizations of goods, which is traditionally in the organization of goods. It's the, I don't know how to say in English, in pallets. Yeah, do you have the term? Yeah, it's okay. And you have to work also with the tour organization software to organize your shift, to organize the riders' deliveries. And some few words with the structuring of the sector. What we can see today is that the economic model is still to stabilize. We have some old companies now, like 10 years old, things like this, that are consistent, but also very new companies that are trying things, and we have to stabilize this economical model. There is a regulation of access to activity, which is really broad today, and we have to work on this. I would say that the ecosystem it's in the process of professionalization. Yeah, sorry. And this is the purpose of the Psychologistics French Federation to work on this, right? Let's have a little quiz. For you, what is the main selection criterion for a cycling hub? Location? Yeah. Price? Yeah. Surface? It was kind of a tricky question because I don't really have the answer. I would say that the three criterion are really important, right? So you have to get the location close to dense centers and major roads to get the parcel delivered to the cycling hub. The price, it can be a really important matter for cyclo-logistics operators, considered reasonable between 30 and 80 euros per square meters per year, depending on the city. In some cities, it's very much more, like very, very much more. So it can be very hard for companies to get it in the business model, right? And the surface between 150 and 800 square meters in the vast majority of cases. If you are smaller companies, it will be less, right? And but the vast majority is between those two. And you have a beautiful drawing of a cyclo-logistic hubs. So you get the storage of cargo bikes, maintenance, administrative space, showers, things like this. Cold room, if you want to. You have a space where you're going to do the cross dock, right? Exchanging parcels from the trucks to the cargo bikes, and some storage area where you can have diverse functionalities. What we can see in the French sector is that we have more and more real estate players that are implementing psychologistics activities in their programming, right? So with some mixed use, with commercial usage and psychologistic usage. The problem is that it takes a long time to build new buildings, things like this. So, and we have needs now. We see multiple experiments that they're trying to avoid the hub problems, and they're doing micro hub, mobile deposits, shared use space. The parking managers also, they're trying to change the functionality of the parking to put more cargo bikes in it, but there is some problems that we have to address, like the slope, okay, of the access of the parkings, things like this. And we see development and sustainability of the combined river and cycles. So in Lyon, Paris, Strasbourg, there are more and more companies that are doing this kind of things. Some things about the social conditions. So we put a survey to riders, and we put a typical profile. So it is a man, right, 33 years old, overqualified, attracted by the ecological aspect of the job, and mostly salaried employment, right? Some companies, they don't really are in this kind of typical profile, right? We can have very different, but I would say that the main that answered to our survey, at least, were in this kind of typical profile. We addressed some thematics like climatic conditions, remuneration, traffic condition, physical exertion, career development, working hours, and image of the profession. There is a very good study in England about this with the Westminster Academy, I think. So I'm not going to go into details, but these things has to be addressed by companies in order to get the job more and more attractive, right? In this survey, we asked in 2022, I think, yeah, if the riders had a very serious accident, and 10% of them told us that they had, which is quite a lot, right? In the logistics sector, in general, in France, it's more like 7%, and it includes manutention work, okay? What is good to know is that all of these accidents were caused and not produced by the riders, all right? And it was mostly by cars, okay, crushing on the cargo bikes riders. Is it good, the time? 5 minutes? Wow. I'm going to try to finish fast. 7% of women in the panel, and 44% of them is 1 year, is less than 1 year in the companies, right? So there is a big turnover subject in companies, psychologistic companies. Formation, I won't go into details if we want to have some questions. What are the most common types of cargo bike used in psychologistics in France, of course? 3 wheels cargo bikes, 2 wheels cargo bikes, utility trailers. Okay, let's see. So this is 2 wheels cargo bikes. Yeah, more used. Good answers. And we have also, of course, classical bikes, which is used into point-to-point, very, very fast, agile in the city, etc., etc. Utility trailers and 3 wheels cargo bikes. Let's skip all of this, all right, and just continue. Maybe some things about the maintenance. We could see that between 30 euros and 200 euros per cargo bikes per month are the maintenance fee, and there is a huge difference between companies if they put preventive maintenance, if they have formatted like riders that are trained, right? It can change a lot the maintenance costs of the companies. Let's skip this. A lot of subjects that are really interesting. Maybe public policies. What we could see addressing cities and things like this, it's like we need a strong political will by cities. We need restrictions on motorized modes to give spaces to cyclologistics. And we need support measures for the establishment of cyclologistics operators in their territory, like financial aids, like communications, things like this. And also at the different scales, European Union, the French states, and local authorities. This is different measures that they can address. And the last one, global evolution. We got a good study by Shift Project, which is an organization in France, which say that in 2050 in France, there could be 110,000 full-time employee in cyclologistics. And I told you we were 220, so we have a huge gap to fill, right? We have topics like recruitment to address. How can we attract a new profile, all right, and not the profile we saw, the overqualified type? How can we attract other kind of typical profile? The supply chain organization, we took more and more of a short distribution area, right? So the cyclologistics is very good for this kind of things. Enterprise, we had the first companies were more specialized company, but we can see that more and more mixed companies are coming to the game and putting more and more cargo bikes and the equipment and support service. We know that cargo bikes, they're going to improve more and more. So we can hope that it will improve more and more the efficiency of cyclologistics. And it's good. I'm finished. It was really fast.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gaétan. Yeah, we have maybe time for 2 questions. So anyone?
Hi, thank you for being here at Boîtes Vélo. I've actually got 3 questions. Did I see transport of persons in your... No. So this is something...
It was not addressed. Yeah, okay. It's further studies that we are going to do. Yeah.
Okay, and now I've got some kind of more general question about the zone à faible émission.
Yeah.
So there is lots of aids going on. I'm in the logistic heart of France, in Chalon-sur-Saône. And though there are all the great logistics and Amazon is there, and so when will the ZFE will be finished? Have you any idea about that?
We had a new update a few months ago, which was kind of bad for cyclologistics. It was a bit of a stop developing of the low emission zone. So we don't really know, actually. There are cities which is already implemented and it will still going. So it's the bigger city like Paris, Lyon, things like this. So it's okay, it's on the trail. But other cities, it's more complicated, and it's a very bad signal for cyclologistic companies, because the bigger transport companies, they can't prepare future, with this kind of signals. So we don't really know, and yeah.
Answer. Someone else? Yep. Any other question? Or we? Yeah.
What about that?
He's
5 weeks.
Yeah, he's asking about the Westminster study, right? Yeah. So if somebody is interested, he can send you the link.
Please come talk to me if you want to.
Hi, thanks for your talk, and good to see that cyclologistics is taking off in France. We have quite some cyclologistics in the Netherlands, and what I know, but I don't have a study, is that the number of accidents is actually extremely low here. We had virtually no serious accidents. And I saw in your presentation that you mentioned a number of like 10%. Is that really the case?
Yeah, it's it was directed directly to riders, you know. But we have to be cautious about this because there is many way of false the result. Because I'm answering, maybe it was not the accident the previous year, but many years before, I didn't understand the question. So there are things like this that we have to consider. And it was the question was like, did you have a serious injury? And we have to define what is a serious injury, right? And where it is put the limits, it's what we have to see. And also, of course, the riders, they are not going to say, yes, I had an accident, it was my fault. They're more going to say, like, I got the accident because of a car. So there are those many limits of the survey that we can say, yeah. And some of these were just the cargo bike injuries and not the riders' injuries. But it's still high, I think, yeah. It's really high.
So you're sparking. Thank you for your question. That was a really good question and follow-up comment. I bought, because I have a kind of high-speed cargo e-bike, and I live in Luxembourg. My commute includes downhills that are included on the Tour de France. And when I go up them, I go 8 kilometers an hour up, even in turbo assist mode. But when I go down, and I wish more cargo e-bikes had regenerative braking to help really slow things down. My speeds, if I feather touch the brakes, exceed 70 kilometers an hour.
Good.
Yeah. And so you may see I'm wearing motorcycle armored jeans, pants, and jacket. I also have ABS. I didn't bring it, but I have an ABS motorcycle gilet. And so I'm curious if the cyclo-logistique, especially in France, where there's such a beautiful, wonderful social contract with workers, if they wanted a near zero damage like to the workers, I wonder how many have safety equipment that if the companies invested a few €100 per worker, the broken bones, etc., in a bad accident would be almost zero.
We don't have the data to know how the companies equip their riders. I would say that generally it's the helmet, which is the basic, and visibility clauses, right? And we are in the context of really dense city areas, so the speed is.
If there's an accident, for example, if a distracted driver in a vehicle sees them.
Yeah. Of course, it's a subject, and I think that there is a way to address it with infrastructure, securized infrastructure, a cycling path, thing like this. And it's just the beginning in France. We have still roads that are dangerous, crossing with drivers, thing like this. And probably that's why we have high numbers. It's because our cities are not equipped to welcome this kind of activities, probably.
So the last question, and we are kind of run of time.
Yeah, super quick. Do you have any stats regarding the accident regarding 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers or 4-wheelers, something like that?
Data about the
Yeah,
the
rates. Yeah,
it was there. This kind of data.
Yeah. If there's accidents that are happening more on the 2-wheeler. Yeah.
It was more on the trailers, but it's so few respondents that it's hard to say it's a solid answers, right? So I think we have to get more data, not only in France, also all Europe, to see if there is still a one of a kind which is more dangerous than the others. I think it's too early to answer that question, right?
Okay, thanks.
we are finished here for today. Thank you very much, Gaétan, for your presentation. An applause.